Show me how strong you are! You are powerful, right?
Hey, this DLC is worth every penny. In today's world, it's far too common to see a $10 price tag on a piece of content that turns out to be nothing more than a skin. I feel like a millennial for saying this, but back in my day, DLC used to feel like a whole new game was added. Why am I bringing this up? Well, I've mentioned before that Xenoverse 2 has a massive amount of DLC and that price definitely racks up over time. But to my surprise, this was the most content I've gotten in a game for years. For $10, you're getting hours upon hours of gameplay. Extra Pack 2, or Infinite History, was released on February 28th, 2018, and it brings a story that I absolutely wasn't prepared for. We're setting the stage for what would eventually become the main antagonist that leads us into the final DLC story with the Time Patrol, while introducing a character long thought erased from Dragon Ball Online to a modern audience who quickly rose in popularity, whose name I mispronounced the entire video. In a way, he feels like a surrogate for the fan playing the game. Now, I'm a big fan of wacky what-ifs, and this DLC is full of them. So sit back, grab a snack, and let's dive into this one.
At last. I've been waiting.
A new time rift has appeared in the Time Nest, and things immediately take a surreal turn. As we're walking alongside the footpath, demon god Dabura suddenly appears right in front of us. Naturally, the patroller recognizes him as a threat and drops into a fighting stance, but Elder Kai just calmly strolls over like nothing is wrong. He actually asks why we're standing like that, completely unbothered by the presence of a demon god. Then Trunks and Ace join the group, and it gets even weirder. Trunks addresses Dabura as the Supreme Kai of Time. We can only watch in bewilderment as Dabura reveals that he called everyone together to help find Toki Toki, who has gone missing. Trunks mentions that Dabura has been too hard on the bird lately, while Elder Kai jokes about there being something evil about him. Dabura just laughs it off, and Elder Kai points out how sinister his laugh is. Dabura completely dismisses it, and they all start calling out for Toki Toki. The patroller is left in total confusion. No one but us seems to remember Cronoa. It's right then that the Time Nest begins showing signs of a massive historical shift, and we spot a mysterious swordsman standing right at the entrance.
Oh, yes! Manipulating history is so much fun! But maybe I'm doing it too much. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm gonna absorb you now. Cool? Bye-bye!
Suddenly, the patroller is back in the Time Nest. Cronoa, Elder Kai, Trunks, and Ace are all staring and asking if we're alright. To them, the nightmare we just saw never happened. They assume we were just daydreaming, but Cronoa quickly snaps us back into reality, reminding us what we're facing is a genuine crisis. I'm really curious about that timeline we just saw. Was Cronoa the one that Ace fought in Toki Toki City in that timeline? Cronoa starts to tell us that a new kind of time rift has surfaced, and it's brainwashing every time patroller sent to investigate. Trunks and his partner are stuck on crowd control trying to contain the affected patrollers, which means they can't actually look into these new rifts themselves. Cronoa and Elder Kai figure that our experience makes us resistant to whatever is happening, but Trunks is skeptical about sending us in alone. He knows these rifts aren't natural and suspects whoever is behind them is the same person responsible for the shifts we've seen in the last DLC. But Cronoa is one step ahead. She noticed the rifts are starting to affect the residents of Canton City too, leading her to a workaround. Someone from another timeline shouldn't be affected like the locals. And that's when she invites our current instructor into the Time Nest. Yep, we get to play this entire DLC alongside our mentor. Now, there are 33 different mentors in this game, and this DLC features alternative routes throughout the entire story. While not every single character has a massively detailed deviation, a large number of them do, leading to some surprisingly beautiful moments between specific characters. So the next question is, who am I bringing along for the ride? Was it a shock to anyone that I chose my favorite character in the series? Cronoa shows the patroller and Gohan to the first rift, which she moved near her house to protect the rest of Canton City residents. She admits she has no idea who's waiting on the other side since every investigation team she has sent in there has came back brainwashed. With that vote of confidence, we set off, with Cronoa and Elder Kai watching our every move from the Time Nest. After entering the first rift, the Patroller and Gohan find themselves standing in a void where the atmosphere is almost overwhelming. This space looks similar to the hyperbolic time chamber, but is quickly realized that this actually is the specialized training space we sent Goku and Vegeta to in age 779. The very place they mastered Godly Ki and attained Super Saiyan Blue. Elder Kai has to step in and instruct us on how to handle the divine energy permitting the space. Fortunately, we're able to accumulate pretty quickly, so the pressure doesn't debilitate us before the mission begins. It's very interesting that many of the mentors can even handle this space. We then see Goku and Vegeta sparring with a shadowy figure, who seems to be training them. The shock hits when we realize this isn't Whis. It's the same mysterious person the Patroller encountered earlier. He's posing as Whis, and while Goku and Vegeta are completely fooled by the dialogue, we can perceive his true form. Back in the time nest, Elder Kai and Kranoa aren't buying it for a second. The imposter introduces himself as Fu. He immediately claims that he is not suspicious, but this is exactly what a suspicious person would say. As the fighting breaks out, Fu explains that he didn't actually create this rift or brainwash the missing time patrollers. He points out something fascinating. This rift's timeline isn't connected to the official history recorded in the Book of Beginning or the End. This means technically it's completely safe to alter history here. Kranoa almost catches herself agreeing before she stops. The fact that Fu even knows this is a massive red flag, as this kind of information isn't common knowledge. To put it simply, just think of this Fu as someone altering the realities of parallel quests. Goku and Vegeta suddenly interrupt the fight, completely unaware that Fu is an imposter, still wearing the guise of Whis. Fu convinces them that they're just sparring partners he summoned for their benefit. This forces us into a direct confrontation with the two Saiyans. Elder Kai warns us of their power since they've already mastered Godly Ki, suggesting it won't be too long before they tap into Super Saiyan Blue, which Kranoa hopes will restore the proper history and weaken the time rift. One of the best parts of this DLC is that your mentor will have something to say about almost every match you enter. Depending on who you bring, you'll get a unique dialogue back and forth. Now, there are times I feel like the opponent should have more to say, especially when you walk in with someone the cast should clearly recognize as a total anomaly. But when the events do happen, they are the best type of fan service, and it makes for replaying these events much more enjoyable. But I'll go over those in a bit. Fu reveals that he originally came to study the rift by helping with their training, but he found that standard routine way too boring. He gets the bright idea to expose these two God Ki infused Saiyans to a massive dose of Blutz Wave. Kranoa realizes what's coming next and orders him to stop, but this Fu isn't the type to take directions. Now, the result made me smile ear to ear. Goku and Vegeta jump straight into Super Saiyan 4. Because they were already tapped into their Godly Ki when the waves hit, they actually mistake the form for a new divine evolution. This is exactly the kind of stuff I wanted from the main game's timeline jumping. These wacky what-if scenarios are what really piqued my interest, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of you who picked up the game. The problem is that the Saiyans achieving this form here make fixing the rift almost impossible. Fu, of course, is thrilled with the results. He starts rambling about how much he loves the art of altering history before wishing us luck against these two. Because of the combined strength from Whis and Fu, these versions of Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta are significantly stronger than the GT counterparts. Kranoa is absolutely losing it over the comms, screaming that Fu is going to pay for what he's done, but this Fu couldn't care less, and drops another bombshell on us. He can absorb the energy generated by the changes he makes, and reveals to the team that he's already absorbed the energy from that twisted timeline where Dabura was the Supreme Kai of Time. Once the dust settles from the battle, he does exactly that, causing the rift to vanish entirely. The Patroller, our partner, and Fu are all sent back to the time nest. It's here where Fu explains that since the time rift is gone, the brainwashed time patroller should finally be returned to normal. And this is where things get weird. Fu takes a sudden interest in the patroller's power and actually asks for a blood sample for his research. Naturally, the warrior is disturbed by the request and shuts them down, though Fu doesn't seem surprised. This is really the birth of Fu's strange obsession with our character. He even offers us a chance to help him with his future experiments so he can study our power further, leaving the choice entirely up to us. He makes his exit just as Kranoa comes charging out of the time vault, desperate to catch him, but he's already gone. It's never explicitly stated just how much stronger he gets by devouring these timelines, but one thing is clear: if he's left unchecked, he could become a massive threat down the line. Now, like I said, these quests have alternative routes if done with certain mentors. For this mission in particular, here are some of those. If you bring Goku in, he transforms into Super Saiyan Blue while facing off against the Super Saiyan 4 version of himself and Vegeta. This leads to a hilarious argument between the two Gokus over which form is superior, while Vegeta just gets increasingly annoyed in the background. With Gotenks, he'll convince them to fuse into Gogeta. It's a fantastic Budokai 3 reference. Bringing the God of Destruction causes Vados to show up during the clash with the Super Saiyan 4s, for some reason. Mr. Satan does absolutely nothing. The intense pressure of the divine atmosphere is too much for the world champ and he just faints on the spot. Jaco spends the first phase of the battle running away before just leaving the rift altogether. Vegeta has a fun scenario where both Vegetas end up leaving in the middle of the fight because Bulma reminds one of them that they promised to take Trunks to the amusement park, so you're left just fighting Goku. Both Elder Kai and Klonoa are keen that although we can't exactly trust Fu, he doesn't seem to be the one creating the rifts, though he clearly knows more than what he's letting on. Klonoa ultimately decides to trust our judgment on how to handle him. He shows up in the time nest using his invisibility to stay hidden from everyone else. Even though Trunks and the others have no idea he's there, the patroller is somehow able to see, hear, and speak to him directly, which Fu is generally surprised by. But being the opportunist that he is, he decides to take advantage of it. He offers to help us deal with the rifts, but only in exchange for a little cooperation. Here's the catch. Accepting his help means we have to help him alter history. Fu can only absorb energy from the changes that he or someone working with him actually makes. While Klonoa technically trusts our judgment, she doesn't condone his methods and openly despises the idea of messing with time, even if these rifts are separate from the official records. Elder Kai is even more blunt. He's completely opposed to it, seeing Fu's actions as criminal and dangerous. This forces the patroller into a major crossroad. Do you help Fu conduct his experiments, or do you follow your duty as a time patrol to correct history? To help Fu, you speak to him directly, and to oppose him, you interact with the time rifts. But be warned, the game tracks your loyalty. If you start a mission with Fu and then quit back to the time nest, Elder Kai will view it as a betrayal and refuse to work with you for the rest of the segment. This is also true on the opposing view. The good news is that once you beat the DLC, you have free reign to revisit every event with your mentor and explore every possible outcome. This next rift drops us and future Gohan into age 767. 9 days before the Cell games. Fu has decided to liven things up by bringing in the Future 17, Future 18, and Android 13 to assassinate Perfect Cell. Cell, being Cell, is just bored of waiting and welcomes the chaos, suggesting an early 3-on-3 match. Now, if you choose to fix things, the changing scenarios are as follows. Both Vegeta and Android 16 will arrive early to settle their own score with Goku, leading to a massive multi-sided brawl. Android 18, in a moment of self-reflection, actually leaves the fight when faced with her murderous future self and Future 17, leaving you and Cell to Android 13 alone. With Broly, his power spikes while the androids are busy talking about Goku. After you clear the androids up, you have to take down a rampaging Broly and haul him back to the time nest before he levels the area. And with Bardock, Cell confuses him for Goku, but realizes the data doesn't match. Bardock, frustrated, reveals that he's Goku's father, and for some reason, he and Cell actually hit it off, both living for the thrill of the fight, and they end up having a friendly match after the androids are down. This is a pair that I never knew I needed. And Hercule and Jocko just run away. Now, if you side with Fu, you join the android trio to jump Cell on a 5-on-1 beatdown. Once Cell is erased, Goku arrives to investigate, only to be hunted down by the androids. In the standard version of this path, the androids actually succeed in killing Goku. They feel a brief moment of victory before realizing they lost their only purpose in life, wandering off into the timeline to find a new reason to exist. Now, if you have Vegeta, after Cell is gone, Goku arrives and you and Vegeta will spar with him. Vegeta keeps transforming to push Goku further, eventually forcing him to hit Super Saiyan Blue right there in the Cell Saga. The idea of this version of Goku popping back up on the rest of the Z Fighters is pure comedy. Android Saga Vegeta would be fuming. If Cell is your mentor, you have to help your hero Cell defeat the enemy Cell and then beat Goku afterwards. Beerus and Whis both leave mid-fight to go eat. Now, future Gohan's route is by far the best encounter in this entire DLC. Even though you're working with the androids to kill Cell, they eventually turn on you and Gohan out of pure spite. After they're dealt with, Goku appears confused on where Cell's ki went. Instead of a tragedy, we get a touching moment where Goku tells Gohan how proud he is of him.
Cell's energy is gone?
Goku!
Goku? What in the world is he doing there?
Cell's energy disappeared.
I can't sense your energy either. And I know what that means. You're an android too.
Dad?
Huh? Wait a second. Wait. I know this energy. Gohan? Are you the Gohan from Trunks' time?
Meeting you again. Seeing you again. Everything about the trip here is more than worth it now.
In the grand scheme of things, I wouldn't qualify this as a positive outcome.
Things are really getting hairy now.
I get it. You guys are the ones who defeated Cell.
Silly Goku. Cell was merely a distraction. My goal is you. Prepare yourself to die!
So Cell wasn't your target after all, was he? Looks like I fell for your trap.
The three of you team up to take down Android 13, making this the only Fu Path scenario where Goku survives. Fu's actually disappointed. He was hoping for a father-son deathmatch, and after this mission, if you talk to Gohan back at the nest, his words to the patroller are genuinely moving. Now that the timeline is either corrected or absorbed, we head into the next rift, and it's set into a point of story I've been waiting to see properly handled since the first game.
Get serious already! I assumed you were stronger than this, aren't you? And you're hiding your true power, aren't you? Show me what you've got. Very well.
Vegito vs. Gohan is finally here, introduced with a gorgeous cutscene, but this timeline is suffering from a massive anomaly. A version of Dabura, who wasn't killed by Buu earlier in the story, is now running rampant. Fu decides to bring in a villainous power, Videl, to go in and fight Majin Buu. If you choose to stand with the Time Patrol, the mentor interactions highlight just how personal this era is for the cast. Bardock shows a surprisingly protective side here, expressing in total disgust towards Fu for using kids to mess with history. Strange since they use kids to wipe out planets, but okay. He leaves once the fight with Videl is settled. Hercule is actually motivator for once, swearing vengeance on Dabura for hurting his daughter. Yamcha and Majin Buu both involve Videl, but with very different results. Yamcha tries to talk her down and fails miserably, while Buu gets protective and attacks the patroller for hurting her. Beerus, true to form, leaves during the first phase to take a nap. If you side with Fu to see how far the chaos goes, the what-ifs get very creative. With Gotenks, after the battle's done, Vegeta will thank you for the help, but is upset that he didn't get the chance to really test his power. Gotenks overhears this and challenges him to a fight. Piccolo tries to talk to Gohan inside of Buu, and Gohan reacts to the voice of his mentor and is sped out, causing Super Buu to lose his intelligence and revert to Kid Buu immediately. I'm not sure that's exactly how it should play out logically, but it's a wild scenario to witness. The route I chose had future Gohan come to the realization that Buu had absorbed his present-day counterpart, along with Piccolo. He loses it, and he and his patroller take on Buu while Vegito and Videl go to handle Dabura. Whis ends up leaving the fight after a brief chat with Vegito, and in a rare moment of bravery, Jocko actually stays for the entire fight against his usual runaway style that we've seen up until this point. Now that the battle is done, Krinoa summons us to the Time Vault. She pulls a scroll showing the original timeline where Majin Buu turned Dabura into a cookie, but it's revealed that someone has secretly altered it. Trunks can't see the change, but Elder Kai points out that whoever did this used magic to cover their tracks. Krinoa suspects the sabotage happened when Toa first breached the Time Vault, using the distraction to slip through unnoticed. Trunks realizes these shifts were likely Dabura's doing all along, and based on what we've seen, he's powered up far beyond anything he should be capable of. We're now heading into the final time rift, and the team gives us the standard pep talk. Get ready for a massive fight, keep an eye out for Dabura, and try to bring Fu in for questioning.
You can call me a criminal if you want, Black, but I've got a sentence of my own!
The fight against Zamasu and Goku Black. That Goku and Vegeta are already down for the count. Trunks is holding them off all by his lonesome.
Wait a minute! Zamasu and Rose aren't alone! This isn't good!
Is that Jiren? What in tarnation is Universe 11's strongest fighter doing here of all places?
It's obvious, isn't it? Dabura brainwashed him and sent him here!
Jiren's power is on a whole nother level! It'll hardly be fair to us if we have to fight him!
Simmer down! There's no need to panic.
Phew.
Trunks is in a tough spot. We'd better give him an ally, huh? A really tough, really brave one. Are you? Hey, Trunks. Wow, look how you've grown. It's time I repaid my debt to you. Let me give you a hand.
The timeline we're dropping into is a strange one. Tapion is such a random inclusion that even Trunks is confused about who he is or how they're supposed to know each other. The Time Patrol's order is to keep Tapion from interfering. The mentor interactions here take some very bizarre turns. With Vegeta, despite the focus being on Jiren and Tapion, Black and Zamasu will actually fuse into Zamasu to try to shut you down. Interestingly, the game's narrative just ignores that outcome afterwards. Frieza has the best interactions in both routes here. It's peak Frieza.
I object.
What?
I said I object.
Now this is unexpected.
You see, I grow so very tired of every last person in the Forsaken Cosmos parading their juvenile brand of justice. Must I be subjected to the sight of that simian, that apish countenance, that damned monkey man? Absolutely infuriating. And coupled with those condescending eyes, oh, I just can't take it anymore! I am terribly sorry, but I'm going to have to murder everyone here. It's absolutely the only way I have to hold on to my dear sanity after all.
Again, the game acts like this didn't happen once the mission ends, as Black and Zamasu don't take any lasting damage. If you side with Fu, the payoff is actually pretty incredible. With Tapion's help, Goku, Black, and Jiren are defeated, and future Zamasu ends up being sealed inside Tapion's body. This effectively erases the possibility of the future timeline being destroyed by the infinite Zamasu later on. It's one of those rare happy endings for future Trunks that we never really get in the official story. As for the mentor interactions, they get wacky, and I'm a big fan of them. Captain Ginyu has easily one of the funniest moments. He pulls off a body change on Goku Black. Seeing Ginyu posing in rosé is something I desperately wish was a permanent alternative skin for the mentor. Now, true to his villainous roots, Turles tries to betray us the second he hears about Zamasu's immortality, offering them the fruit of the Tree of Might. It's a shame the game ignores his outcome afterwards. Dealing with your evil mentor would have been a great switch up. Now, for my original route with future Gohan, he has a strange time here. Now, he does have a solid line about fighting for the world he protected, but Trunks has absolutely nothing to say to him. You'd think seeing his mentor again in this hellscape would warrant a bigger reaction, but the game stays silent there. After the battle, Fu pops up to chat with us and Gohan. Gohan starts grilling him about where all his absorbed energy is going and what his end goal is, but Fu generally doesn't know, or does he care? In a way, he's just like the fans. He's only here to see these alternative stories play out. He's a spectator, with goofy glasses. Once we return to Kanton City, the energy is different. Gohan notices a distinct eerie silence, and when we head to the market side, we find the horror. Everyone has been turned to stone, and the two rush to the time nest, and what we find there gets even worse. Look, I get that Dabura has been powered up significantly, but the disrespect towards Ace here is just ridiculous. Dabura kidnaps Kranoa and retreats to the Crack of Time, Demokura's old prison, which he's been using as a base to plot his revenge for Toa's death. He baits us and Gohan into the rift, claiming that this is all payback for his sister. Now, if he bothered to check the time scrolls or ask Fu, he'd know that Toa only died because Mira absorbed her, unless she was technically conscious during that final explosion and we just got a 2-for-1 special. Despite that, Dabura is aiming his rage at the wrong people, it feels. The final showdown in the Crack of Time turns into a gauntlet of scenarios that test the bond between you and your mentor. Dabura doesn't rely on his own power, and he pulls a tailored ally out of time, specifically to target your partner, while an alternative timeline Demokura is the default summon, bringing certain mentors trigger a personal rival instead. If you bring Vegeta or future Gohan, the game summons future Trunks to stand against you. The lack of context for these showdowns is a missed opportunity. Watching future Trunks step up to a fight future Gohan should feel like a massive heart-wrenching moment, but the dialogue makes it feel like they're just getting some light training in. There is absolutely no malice, and we get zero explanation for why these heroes are suddenly on the Demon King's side. Throwing an evil aura or some dark magic visual would have gone a long way towards making this drama actually land for that final showdown. After a grueling slugfest with a ridiculously powered up Dabura, the future warrior and Gohan finally managed to come out on top. It's only once the dust settles from that fight that we actually start getting some real insight into the chaos that's been unfolding.
You're late again, Fu. You're probably wondering just what or who Fu really is. Let me explain. You see, Fu is a unique mutant, made from the cells of Mira and my dear sister Toa. So, that makes him part of my family. My rightful successor to the throne. So now you understand why I altered so much history. It was all in the name of feeding him Time Rift energy. Now, Fu, It's time to do what you were created for. Use that energy to destroy these mortals and revive the demon realm.
No way.
What?
I worked hard to get all this energy. Killing them with it would be a terrible waste if you ask me. I need to explore all the possibilities. You know, experiment with it a little. Throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
But we have to avenge Toa.
Sorry, big guy, but I'm not interested in revenge or demon realms. It's really not my thing, catch my drift? I'm gonna do pretty much whatever I want to do.
You colossal, ungrateful idiot!
Fu is an interesting character to say the least. He isn't outright bad, but he doesn't fit the good guy mold either. The game dances around his backstory, but in Dragon Ball Online he was shown as a baby, the son of Toa and Mira. Now Dabura mentions a slightly different backstory here, but also calls him nephew, so maybe it's a mistranslation, or maybe they didn't want to outright say he's their son. Now if you stick true to the Time Patrol and take down Dabura, you end up fighting Fu alongside your mentor. It ends with him revealing that we were just fighting an illusion he created before he up and vanishes from the time rift. But if you take Fu's path, things become a bit more experimental. After stopping Dabura and switching sides, Elder Kai tries to have Fu captured. If you have any other mentor, he calls in Goku for backup to stop you. Goku sets up a deal. If you win, he leaves everyone alone. But if he wins, he gets to fight Fu. The battle's intense. Fu ends up disappointed that he couldn't use the energy he gathered, but he leaves with the intent of helping create good futures. Now the partner variations are where the real fun is on this last match. With Goku, you fight your own mentor. Mid-battle, Fu gets hyped by their power and pumps you full of excess energy, forcing Goku to respawn with Super Saiyan Blue. If you beat him fast enough, he even taps into Ultra Instinct. But even with that power gap, you come out on top, leaving Fu thoroughly impressed. If you have Krillin by your side, he brings Android 18 along, and she goes straight for the mental warfare. She threatens to tell Chi-Chi that Goku made a pass at someone else's wife, which actually stops him from using Blue Kaioken. Raditz tries to get revenge on his little brother, and tries to be tactical by planting Cybermen to wear Goku down. Goku clears them out easily, but Raditz just keeps planting more until Goku literally blows them away with the sheer force of his ki. Gohan and Videl leave the field only to return back as Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, with Jaco tagging along for the Justice Field beatdown. And funny enough, Goku refuses to let Zamasu fight alongside you. It's these specific character beats that make the DLC worth playing, even if the main narrative feels a little bit thin at times. Seeing Android 18 use Chi-Chi as a threat is exactly the kind of character-driven humor that feels right at home for this franchise.
Old man, let him go. He's not good or bad yet, he's just a kid. And I'd venture to say a curious one at that.
Curious or not, while he may not be evil, he ain't aligned with good either.
Okay, but let's not forget who stopped Dabura and saved me. Might I suggest we all let Fu's escape slide and call it even?
Very well. If that's your word as Supreme Kai of Time, then I haven't a choice. I concede.
But let it be known, if Fu so much as thinks an evil thought, our Time Patroller will punish him severely. Understood? How about that? Not only have we managed to fend off Dabura, but his history-altering crew to boot. You have our eternal thanks. Everything you've done is appreciated. That was an intense battle. Even with one notably loose end out there, everything will work out. I'm sure of it. After all,
Supreme Kai of Time!
we're all in this together.
That ending cutscene wraps up the main story for this pack, but as I mentioned, the real longevity comes from going back with different mentors to see every interaction. Once everything is somewhat back to normal, you can talk to Trunks, Krillin, and Elder Kai back at the nest for some surprisingly deep post-game dialogue. They finally start answering some of the questions we had lingering. Trunks is considering using elite patrollers to monitor specific timelines, and Cronoa mentions that that could help them track down Bardock, who's apparently still alive somewhere in spacetime. She also clarifies that the timeline Trunks altered was left exactly as he changed it. This implies there's yet another branching future timeline out there. It makes you wonder, is this the one where Cell killed Trunks before he could travel back, or is this Xeno Trunks a completely different variant from the one we know? Either way, it's a win for that universe, even if it highlights that the Time Patrol is occasionally terrible at enforcing their own rules. Now, I've said before, specifically with some of the Kakarot DLC, that quality can occasionally beat quantity. Here though, we're getting a rare balance of both. This expansion does a great job providing a massive amount of content without sacrificing the fun character moments that make these what ifs worth it. I'm honestly getting more impressed with these DLC packs as I go, and there's still plenty more to dig into. But as always, I want to throw it back to you guys. Out of all these wacky timeline shifts, which one was your favorite? Were you more into the what if chaos of siding with Fu, or did you stay true to the Time Patrol? Also, let me know which mentor pairing surprised you the most. I'm still thinking about the Bardock and Cell interaction, but I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. We have even more Fu shenanigans coming up in the next DLC, so I'll see you all in that next one. As always, it's been your local overanalyzer Artellings, and I hope you have yourself a damn good one.
Not so fast. There's one last job to be done.
You mean Few, right?
No, Trunks, not Few! How could you forget Toki Toki? Where could he have gone this time?
You don't think Dabura took him somewhere?
Hard to say with certainty. We were playing hide and seek when Dabura attacked. Then he was gone. It all happened so suddenly. One minute I was in the middle of searching for him, and then nothing. Toki Toki didn't make so much as a squeak. I don't know. Maybe he's been hiding in the time nest this entire time and Dabura never noticed.
All right then, let's go find him.
Why don't we all try calling for him?
Toki Toki! Over here!
Toki Toki!
Sure, it's not like I've got anything else to do.